Do you have a favorite tree that you would like to have in your own backyard? How about Grandpa's apple tree that you remember picking? Or do you have a favorite ornamental tree that you'd like to have more of? With airlayers.com air layering kit and a few simple hand tools, you can create more just like those original trees or mother trees. Okay, here I've selected a branch that I'm going to air layer using the kit, and the first thing you do is trim off. You want to trim off some of the excess material here so that you have a clear place on the branch to place the air layer. Once you've got it trimmed up fairly well like that, you get your plastic sleeve which is in the kit, and I'm going to take that out here on the end of the branch and kind of bunch up all the leaves that are on here and slide that sleeve over and down here to the place where we're going to make our air layer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two cuts here about 1 inch apart, and it doesn't, all you have to do is cut through the bark. You don't need to go into the wood very much at all, really at all. And once I've made those two cuts, okay, now I'm going to use my pliers to take that bark off and rough up the underneath a little bit, which is what I'm doing here. Alright, and once that's taken care of, now I'm going to, let's see, now I'm going to tie this on with the rubber band, and I'll do this about 2.5 inches below this first cut here. And I like to smooth the bag out kind of like this, and then you tie the rubber band on just by kind of wrapping it back on itself. And once you've done that, it'll hold, and put the free end back underneath the loop just to hold it in place. Alright, now in your kit you'll have this rooting hormone, and we put this on in order to encourage roots to grow on this first cut here. And just I put as much, I just kind of saturate that. Pull the bag back, and now we're ready for the pre-moistened moss, which that's also in your kit. And I just take a handful and shove it in the open end here, and you're bound to spill some. Don't worry about that. Should be plenty available. And I just push that back into the back of the, up against that first rubber band we put on. Okay, and now I'm going to close this up, and I just do that by grabbing that plastic bag. I'll squeeze a little bit of the air out of here, but you don't really have to do that much. It's just a little bit is sufficient. And then use another rubber band to secure this leading in the same way we did on the other one. And put the loose end back in. Alright. Now, in a wet climate like we are here, we need to seal that. And I use a sheet of wax called parafilm, and I'll put that on the uphill end, because we'll get water hit this when it rains, and it runs back and it gets inside this moss ball, and once this is too wet, then your air layer dies. So we'll put this wax on, and I do it by just kind of stretching it a little bit and wrapping it back on itself. Go around a few times, and then kind of just press the free end into the wax, and that's usually sufficient to hold it. Now we want the roots need a dark place to grow into, and so we'll take a piece of aluminum foil and wrap it on like this. I'll crimp it on this end that's where the wax is, and just wrap it around and kind of crimp it on. And that is your air layer. We'll leave this on the tree now for about 3 months, and at the end of that time it should be fairly filled with roots, and then we'll cut this off and put it in a pot. Alright, there you have it. Okay, we've had these air layers on the tree now for about 3 months, and we're coming back to check on them, open them up and see what's happened. And this one here is done quite well. It's got a lot of roots. That will probably take very well. This one here, we'll open it up and take a look. It's doing pretty good. It's maybe not quite as good as this one. The more roots, the better. That's what you want. Okay, in any case, this will take this and cut it off of the tree right here behind or below the root ball, and like that. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one too, even though I might like it to have more roots. Okay, here's the air layer that I've cut off the tree. The roots are well established. I will usually want to cut this. I need to remove some leaves on the top, and also I don't want it taller than about 24 to 30 inches. So I'm going to cut it up here, remove that, and then we've got the plastic down here on the base, so I want to remove that, and I'll take my clippers and just cut those rubber bands that we applied earlier, like this. And I do it gently. You don't want to damage the trunk of the tree there. And then we'll, fairly gently remove this plastic so that when we pot things up, the roots will touch the dirt directly. Stretch that. There it goes. All right, and then now I've got a mix here that I've mixed up, and it's got perlite and peat moss and various other things in it. You can use a commercial preparation, but when you put things in a pot, drainage is key. So many plants die because there's not enough drainage. So this is a very well drained mix, and that's what you'll want. Even a commercial mix may not be well drained enough. And I'm going to put it in a pot here, so I throw a little bit in the bottom there, and then place my new tree and just cover up those roots. And once I've got this filled up here, I'll kind of settle it in there and make sure that this trunk is as straight as you can make it, because that's the tree. That is how the tree is going to grow. Now I'll take this and I'll put it in my nursery or someplace that's partial shade. We don't want it out in the full sun to start with. Once it's established, it'll go out in the full sun and then into the ground. And there you have your new tree, genetically identical to the tree that it came from, the original or mother tree.